Accu-Stats Video Productions presents from Bell Gardens, California, the first annual Bicycle Invitational. I'm Bill Incardona, along with Jay Helfert, the tournament director, and a very, very knowledgeable player. Jay, the two players that are playing the feature match have very similar styles, but they do have a difference in one area, and one specific area, and that is tournament experience. Kim Davenport, 1990 Player of the Year, 1989 runner-up to Player of the Year with Nick Varner. Well, he's shown us that he can play extremely well under tournament pressure. But his counterpart, Mark TADD, that is, Mark TADD has had very little tournament experience, and that tournament experience that he has had, he hasn't really played well.
Yeah, they are fast and loose style players. They disdain the safety. They go for the shot, and in that respect, they're similar. But I would agree with you 100%. Kim has proven himself as a tournament player. He's won major championships. Mark has not fared well in tournament play. He's more known for his challenge matches and private games and things like that. He's young. He's only 27 years old, so he's still on the way up. I talked to him the other day, Billy, and he said that he would like to be more successful in tournaments, and he knows that he hasn't done that yet, and it's kind of like one more mountain for him to climb. And he's got a mountain in front of him right now.
Oh, he certainly does. But Mark TADD fancies himself as a poker player, and I've talked to some of his peers in that area in the poker game, and they tell me that he's like a so-so player. But of course, when you count his winnings, you have to say that maybe that's contrary to what they believe. He seems to be a pretty big winner this year playing poker. So with that in mind, the winnings that he has amassed this year possibly could have loosened him up a little bit. Went into this tournament, maybe he got the arm a little bit looser.
He seems to be well lubricated this week. His bankroll and his stroke.
Right.
Yeah.
So game number one, it goes to Mark TADD. He takes the early lead in the match, 1-0.
You know, there's stories that go around, Billy, and you never know how much of it's true, but I did see him playing in some private games over at the World Series of Poker last month at the Horseshoe, and in the biggest games. He was playing poker in absolutely the biggest games with the best players in the world, and they say he fared well. And what I do know is that he's ready to play this week, and he's ready to put his money where his mouth is.
And you alluded to the fact that he played in the high limit games. That tells me that if a player is willing to risk that much money playing in the highest limit games in Las Vegas and in casinos, that means that he has a lot of courage and a big heart. Because to risk literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, you have to say that he has a lot of courage.
Yeah, kind of like you, Billy. Kind of like you. He's cut from the same mold. He's not afraid to put it up there. And in fact, if it's one thing that makes him a little bit objectionable to the other players sometimes, is he's a little bit overconfident to the point of being very cocky. I mean, the guy absolutely believes in himself. His first day here, he teed it up in a private match with Johnny Archer, #1 rated player in the world. So yeah, he's certainly not afraid to back it up with some money.
Well, actually, that was a no-lose situation for him. That was his bid for recognition, actually. If he lost to Johnny Archer, everyone would say, well, he figures to have lost to Johnny Archer, so therefore he hasn't lost anything but a few $1,000s, which we all know he can well afford at this time. But if he had won that match against Johnny Archer, he would have then succeeded in exactly and it started out to succeed, and that is to get that recognition that he really feels that he deserves.
Yeah, he would like to intimidate the other players if he could. Well, he's got a chance to get that recognition right now because he's playing one of the top 9-ball players in the world today, and a victory here would really push Mark into the forefront in this event. Personally, I've watched Mark play in several tournaments the last year because he's done quite a bit of playing in Southern California, and I have not seen him hold up well in tournament play, mainly because under pressure in a tournament, I've seen him quit in a match, and that's about the bluntest I can be. If he doesn't like the way the match is going, he'll just basically give up on the match and call it a lost cause and preoccupy his time with looking for a private game afterwards.
And that really is a bad sign. You know, he really doesn't have the killer instinct that, say, perhaps a Nick Varner on the adjacent table has, or even his opponent, Kim Davenport. They certainly wouldn't quit in the middle of a match. They play it down to the very last game because they so often have won matches from large deficits, so they realize that it is a possibility to come from behind, even by the score of 10-1. In a race to 11, but this race is to 13. So therefore, if you happen to fall behind early in a match, even by a significant score of possibly 6 or 7-0, you can still come back in the match. So I wouldn't expect to see Nick Varner or Kim Davenport quit. And
well, they wouldn't. They're seasoned pros. There's no question about it. Mark TADD is an extremely talented pool player. He's got the big game. I mean, he can break and run out with the best of them. He just needs to mature a little bit. And if he does mature, and time is only the thing that will tell if this happens, if he does mature, he could turn out to be a great player, a tournament player as well as a backroom player. But we'll see. He's certainly an unproven quality in tournament play.
He almost got a little careless there, setting cue ball in hand on the 1 ball for position for the 2. He kind of like fell short of his mark, and he had to use a little bit of inside English to recover with that particular shot, and recover he did very nicely.
You'll see that he's a real straight shooter, just like him. He hits the center of the pocket, which is really best suits this equipment, because this is really tight equipment here, and the guys that pocket balls well, there you go. He hit that ball about 3 times as hard as he had to.
Well, you got kind of fortunate in respect that he didn't leave Kim a shot. And Mark TADD's guilty of exactly what we saw just there, is that he shoots very quickly, and I feel that he shoots too hard. And if you shoot hard on this equipment, you're really going to take the worst of it, because, as you alluded to, the tightness of the pockets, the ball has to be hit with pretty good pocket speed in order to get the maximum out of the shot, the maximum benefit from the shot. And he hits balls rather hard.
And these pockets won't take him. If they're not hit absolutely perfect at that speed, the pockets just won't take him. He's got a tough shot here. Long straight off the end rail.
Notice how hard he hit that.
Yeah, he nailed it. He nailed it.
Such a gratifying sound, though, when you hit the center of the pocket, hitting it at that speed.
I wouldn't know about that sound.
I haven't heard that sound in a while myself. This is game number 2. It looks like TADD's on his way to capture game number 2.
Look out if he gets in the lead, I'll tell you. He can put games on the wire as fast as anybody. He kind of reminds me of Keith or Earl. He's just, he can string up those games like in moments.
Well, that's very true, Jay. And it was very important for Mark TADD to get the lead in this match. He plays much better from the front than he does from behind, but naturally anyone does. But particularly Mark TADD playing in a tournament. If he would have fallen behind early in this match, his recovery ability would not be nearly as good as his opponent's, Kim Davenport. Kim Davenport, has had plenty of tournament experience, and he can come from behind. Mark TADD hasn't had very much success in that area.
I haven't seen him come from behind yet. In fact, the opposite's been true, where when Mark's been down 4 or 5 games, I've actually seen him give up on a match where it looks like he didn't care. He began to concede balls. I mean, he was playing a match the other day where he was playing Tom Spencer, and Spencer would have the 6, 7, 8, and 9, and Mark would sweep the balls off the table and concede the last 4 balls. Now, that's unheard of in professional tournaments. You just don't do that. You don't concede any balls. But it was a reflection of what his attitude was at the time, and he was only down by about 3 or 4 games.
His tolerance level then is not very high. Okay, this is game number 3. TADD broke the balls in game number 3, pocketing a ball on the break, but he doesn't have a shot. Now what he'll need to do now is push to a
This is the other area of his game. This is the other area of game is a little bit questionable, is his safety play and his defensive play. We know he has the big offensive game. He's got all the offensive weapons. He can make any shot. But when it comes to strategy, there's some question there. We pushed out to where it looks like Kim can see the whole one ball. I don't know if he can see enough to make it in that upper right corner.
Yeah, he may go after the bank here. Mark's kind of like challenging him. It's either you or me, he says. If you like the bank, go ahead and shoot it. I think I can make it. Oh, he left it a little more than the bank, didn't he? As a matter of fact, he left the shot that he was able to pocket in the upper right-hand corner. Now, if you take a look at Mark TADD in his chair, he's kind of unhappy with the results there. He has given Kim Davenport an opportunity that he really shouldn't have given him.
It's a tight pocket. There's 2 getting past the 5. Good shot. Good shot.
There's Mark TADD sitting in the chair now.
He wants to shoot. He gets very restless.
Is restlessness a sign of nerves or that you're nervous?
I think so. I think so. He's a little on edge. He's seems to go with the territory with Mark. He's kind of a hyperkinetic individual, you know, always in motion, always moving, always back and forth here and there. He doesn't sit still well.
No, he doesn't, does he?
Even when he's playing matches, you see him in a private match, he's all around the table, he's talking to people on the sidelines. It's hard for him, I think, just to sit there in a chair like that in a tournament and not have somebody to banter with, because normally when he's playing a private game, he'll be talking to people in the audience or a friend or a colleague. And he can't do that here.
Well, definitely, that's a variable worthy of discussion, and I'm glad you brought that point up. For someone to tell him, like yourself, the tournament director, Mark, you're going to have to sit in that chair when your opponent's at the table. You can't move out of that chair, only to rack the balls. Well, that seems to take a little bit away from his style and his, you know.
He's like used to playing matches, Billy, which we're both aware of, where when the opponent's shooting, he'll be walking around the table. He'll be standing over at the other side of the table, or, you know, move back and forth, not getting in the way of the opponent, but yet being able to move around. So this is different for him to have to sit and be disciplined in a chair.
Exactly, and him moving around is just his way of relaxing.
Releasing that energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's game number 3. Kim Davenport finally gets on the board. Now he trails in the match at 1-2. Kim Davenport has a very good break. He's regarded by his peers as one of the most explosive players on the tour today.
I like the way Kim shot the balls that rack, Billy. It looked like he's in good form, because that was not that easy. The first 2 or 3 shots the rack, he had to make some good shots there, and he handled them well.
That was a good assessment. Not only that, he trailed in the match at that time, 2-0, so therefore
it was like his first open opportunity, and he handled it real well.
The demand to respond was definitely there, and I was quite impressed that he was able to get through the rack as smoothly as he did, considering the score, and they was playing a very dangerous man in
Right, he didn't want to fall
TADD.
behind there 3-0.
Okay, now this shot here, the angle that he has on the 2-ball suggests to me that he has to go cross table, maybe even twice on the shot. But if you go cross table twice, you really increase the difficulty of the shot considerably. So he elected to
Missed it.
And he elected to go 1 cushion across, hitting it with a softer speed, which would then decrease the accuracy of the shot somewhat. And that time, a little bit too much, so therefore he wasn't able to come up with the 2. TADD's back at the table. He doesn't really have an offensive shot unless he chooses to bank it cross-eyed or bank it cross-corner and go around the table with the cue ball, something that...
Yeah, see, he wants to shoot here. See, here's where good defensive play would go a long way to improving his game, and I don't think he's really got it. We'll see. I think he's going to try and come with a defensive shot here. He is.
Okay, that was dangerous to do this.
Yeah.
It was dangerous to do this in
Kim's looking at the 2-9 combination. I think it's pretty tough. I mean, that 2's right on top of the 9. But the good thing about this shot, Billy, is I think he can shoot this combination and still play safe, because the 2's not going to go far.
Well, from the angle, the 2 will go at least a foot or a foot and a half, but he should position the cue ball 3 cushions behind the 4, leave distance on the 2.
Right. And there it goes.
And
nice shot.
That's why it was a dangerous shot for Mark TADD to try to play, because he didn't know exactly where that 1 was going to end up, and the 9-ball was near the bottom cushion. The 1 was going to go in that direction.
The 2-ball.
Or excuse me, the 2-ball was going to go in that direction, and it could have very easily landed dead on the 9, which it obviously it did.
Yeah, this gives credence to the point I was making. His defensive game is really not up to the par of the championship level players. Yeah, as I was saying, Billy, I don't think Mark's defensive game is at this A level. Well, that didn't look like a typical Kim Davenport break.
Okay, Kim came up dry on the break, Jay, and it looks like Mark has some kind of a shot. He's elevating over the 4.
Yeah, he was able to cut that in, and he's got a decent shot at the 2 here. These balls are sitting real good.
Yeah, they certainly are. There's nothing tied up, and we can see the pattern quite clearly.
Okay.
Well, he's gotten on the wrong side of the 4. Actually, right. He wanted to get on the other side of the 4 using the side
cushion. Got to go around the 6. He did. He just cleared the 6.
He's fallen a little short, so he's going to have to use a good stroke drawing the cue ball to the side cushion, which he's done. Now he's back in line again, so I don't foresee any problems from this point on.
A little bit of a cut shot on the 9 ball here. No problem.
Okay, that's game number 5. It goes to Mark Ted. Once again, Mark takes a lead in the match now with the score being 3 games for Ted and 2 games for Davenport.
We've got their scorecard all the way up there at light grid. And it looks like the old wires, the old beads we used to have in the billiard rooms with the score way overhead. We'll see if we can get Rick to show that after this game. Well, he made a good break. Mark does have a powerful break. The balls are spread out nicely.
Very nicely, I might add. The 2 and the 3 are together at the other end of the table. The 4 and the ball to the left of the 6 at the lower right-hand quadrant of the table. The 5 is located or positioned in the center of the table.
Watch how quickly he goes through the rack. It's
a little too quickly. Looks like he's hit the shot a little too hard.
He went too far. Yeah, he can just make this ball go around the table. Uh-oh. The 4 just slipped in the pocket. It almost hung up. This is his typical playing speed, about like Earl. He doesn't waste any time at all. He's playing fairly well. I don't think he's completely loose yet. If he gets loose, we'll know it. He'll be swaggering around that table.
Okay, game number 6 goes.
There's the bead. See, all the way up there by the light grid. Thanks, Rick, for showing us.
And as you can see, as well as everyone else that's watching, there are 6 beads that are in the center there. That indicates the score. The white ones are for Ted, and the orange ones are for Davenport. And we all can see that Ted has a 4-bead to 2 lead in the match.
And we're going to 13. Long match. Another good break, and
in the 1 ball, normally the 1 ball goes up the other end of the table, but for Ted, fortunately hit the point of the side pocket, thrusting it back down to this end of the table where the cue ball was positioned. For 2, his roll there for Mark Ted.
Got over the top of the 6 here, made it a little bit tougher than he'd like it. Ooh, and he hung it up. Yeah.
He's a very, very fast-paced player at the table. He shoots really fast, and sometimes that comes back to burn him like it's done there. I call that a little careless, though. I feel that he should slow up his game. If he did that, I feel that he would have much more success.
I think Kim's going to shoot the 2-3 and then play that 4-9. I'm not certain if he's got a 4-9 combination. You notice what happened is Mark left immediately after he missed that ball. He walked way over to the sidelines. He's talking to a lady friend of his about 40 feet away from the table now. He really shouldn't be. He should be sitting in the chair. If I was out there on the floor, Billy, I'd bring him right back to where he's supposed to be. But this is typical Mark TADD. He doesn't want to be tied to that chair. He doesn't want to be confined to that area.
Exactly. Looks like Tim is opted to go for the run out, considering the position of the balls now.
Right.
If he's fallen short of the mark on the 6, he may have created a problem for himself, needing to go up table with the cue ball and back down for position on the 7.
Right.
He wants to get behind the 7 here. Now he needs to get behind the 7.
He doesn't want to hit it, that's for sure. I think he
looks like he's going to miss it and get past it.
Just made it. If he'd hit the 7 ball, it would have been disaster.
The 8 ball's located at the other end of the table. He has to hit this softly. And when he hits this softly, okay, he's playing it in the side. I like playing it in the side. Now, the reason I don't like playing it in the corner, you have to hit with a soft speed. Now, there's a likelihood, possibly, of the ball skidding on you.
It looks funny here, though. Oh, he had to risk slow roll it, baby it in there.
Yeah, now he has a decent shot on the 7,
yeah.
But his make percentage would go way up shooting it in the side opposed to the corner. So that's why he elected to go for the side. He wants to stay at the table. He does trail at this point by 2 games, and he doesn't want to fall any farther behind.
Well, this game was won because of Mark's error in missing that 2 ball. He actually didn't play bad shape off the 1. He just unfortunately got hooked over the top of the 6.
And if one would count the careless mistakes like the one Mark made, I'm sure that at the end of the match it would be very, very heavy in Mark's favor. It's not Mark's favor,
yeah.
Kim Davenport's
his disfavor, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's going to make a lot more of those unforced errors than his opponent, Kim Davenport. And when you add them up at the end of the match, I feel that's going to be his undoing if he goes on to lose this match.
You know, actually, his style of play reminds me of Keith McCready's because, he's fast and loose and prone to make unforced errors from time to time, much like Keith, though. Keith is liable to play brilliantly for 1 or 2 wrecks, and he's liable to make 3 or 4, grievous errors in a row. And Keith is still a dangerous player.
Oh, absolutely, because if things start clicking for either Keith or Mark TADD, they're relatively impossible to beat for that match or for that time, because they just seem to eat off of that. Feed off of the
that adrenaline.
The moment, the adrenaline.
Right.
If they come with a good shot, then another one, and they can shoot a little more quickly because they just seem to beam in rather more natural.
Yeah, they're both momentum players, and when they're rolling, they can put games on the wire real quick. I haven't seen Mark really in his gear yet, even though he's got a 4-3 lead in this match. My hunch is, and you didn't ask me, my hunch is Kim is going to find a way to win this match because I don't see Mark taking control, and Kim will.
Kim Davenport was slated as a 2-game favorite in a race of 13 prior to the match starting. He now trails by 1 game, but of course it's early in the match, and your prediction was that Kim will find a way to win.
See, this match is all important to Kim. This is his livelihood. Mark's thinking about the poker game or the pool game tonight and 100 other things, or his girlfriend sitting on the sidelines. And he'd like to win the match, but it's not life or death for him. That's for certain. Now, there's a factor here that we haven't discussed, Billy, and this may have a bearing on the match, although it doesn't appear to be the case right now. I don't see any evidence of it, as I wonder if these gentlemen may have made a wager on this match.
I don't think so.
I would suspect Mark would have offered that.
If that's the case, if that's what you suspected, then they do have a wager.
Yeah.
Because Kim would have graciously accepted it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they do.
It doesn't look like it. Doesn't seem there's not that intensity between the two players right now.
Okay, after game number 8, if we look up at the score, it's 4 beads apiece now.
Actually, there is a little wager in this match, you know, because the winner of this match is guaranteed $500. So there's $500 on the line right here, which is a little bit more than spare change.
Okay, he's going to get the 8, the cue ball, the 7 ball running into the cue
Look
ball.
out for the 6.
Kicking
Look
it
out
against
for
the bottom
6.
cushion. The 6 ball.
Just got him. Just got him.
6 ball coming down the table and finally coming to rest in between the cue ball and the 1 ball. You can see a portion of the 1 ball, but not enough to pocket it directly into the corner pocket.
What you saw him lining up there was shooting the 1 off the 4 into the corner pocket. That's what he lined up, and it might be a good safety as well. He's calling a push out now.
No, it's a haphazard shot here. You know, he can make the 1 off of the 4 on the carom, okay, but
now Mark's looking at the same thing.
If he misses that shot, he figures to give up the shot. Now that he does have the 3 ball to aid him in the event that he misses the shot.
Yeah, I wonder if that was really a move by Kim, so that Mark would get up there and shoot it. Now Mark almost lucked in the 9 ball.
Okay, I like Kim's chances of. I like Kim's chances of rolling the 1 into the cushion off of the 7 into the corner pocket. The 7 ball will aid him on this particular shot. He has to hit it.
It's pretty tight.
He has to hit it to the cushion, though.
Yeah.
Notice how he jumped a little bit when he shot that
he
ball?
came up on it.
Yes.
Do you think he was shooting that or shooting the 1-7 combination?
I don't know, but from the angle that I have, I feel that he should have shot the 1 off of the 7, hitting the cushion first. The 7 made that pocket play a lot larger than what it actually was.
Mark's in real good shape for these balls here. There's no problem in this rack at all. I don't think he can even get hooked behind a ball or hung up or anything. He could probably just stop the cue ball right there and shoot the 4 down on the other end. Although he may, it looks like he's going to draw back and shoot the 4 in the other corner pocket. Same corner, yeah. The problem with playing a player like Mark TADD is you pay for it real quickly when you make a mistake. I mean, he'll knock this game off in a minute or less. Kind of wobbled that 5 ball a little bit.
But he hit it with good speed, enlarging the pocket size. And what I mean by that is if he hit a shot, particularly on the angle that he had on the 5, if he hit it with the speed that he hit it with, the pocket would play a lot larger than if he hit it with a harder speed. He realized that, hitting it with the correct speed, and he got rewarded for it.
You know, you said something very important there as Mark makes this 9 ball to win the game and take a 5-4 lead, is that if Mark learns through maturity to slack off his speed a little bit, his game will be that much stronger. I think he'll play better if he hits balls about 75-80% speed instead of that 100-mile-an-hour killer shot that he wants to shoot all the time. It's almost as if sometimes he wants to intimidate his opponent by hitting a ball, full speed, and his game is not as effective, and he does miss shots, as we saw in the second game of the match, where he hit that 2 ball about 100 miles an hour, and it just came right back out. When he backs off a little bit, I think his game is a lot stronger. Okay, nothing on the break here. Kim's got a shot to 1.
Very quickly, I'll identify where the balls are. The 2 balls to the left of the cue ball, the 3 ball to the left of the 2 ball. The 4 ball is on the right-hand side of both the 2 and the 3.
Just above the cue
up from
ball.
the 1.
Yeah.
Up from the cue ball. But the problem here, Jay, as we all can see, is where the 5 is, the position of the 5. Near the bottom cushion, the 9 sits to the left of the 5. I do believe, though, he has enough room to cut the 5 into the corner pocket, but he's going to have to position the cue ball in a small area to attain that type of a shot on the 5, and that's not going to be easy. Right.
It's all about how he gets on the 4 ball for his positioning to get to the 5. Well, I think he's in a good shape to do that now. That shot worked real well. It's always questionable when a player plays position by hitting an object ball, which he just did. He made the 2 and hit the 4 ball, but it worked perfectly.
If you can draw an invisible line from the point of contact on the 5 directly toward the point of that side pocket, that's the angle that he needs to get the cue ball in. So therefore, where he's standing now, do you see where he's standing? So if you can draw an invisible line from the point of contact on the 5 to where he can get near the side pocket, that'll show him exactly or approximately what area he should end up in, or he would like to end up in.
He may have gone too far here.
He may have gone too far. He's starting to go down a little deeper than he needs.
Yep.
So he bypassed his line of position. Now he finds himself with a problem here. It's better to play the other side of that line opposed to the side that he ended up on.
Yep.
That's why you draw that line. You say, this is my limit right here. I cannot go beyond this. If at all, I want to come short of it.
You know, what I saw there is something that Pat Fleming has pointed out to me several times, is that drawing the ball for position, particularly a ball right in the pocket like that 4 ball, is always tougher than rolling the ball for position. And he drew for position and drove about a foot too far. Oh, look, he made his combination. He was a little bit lucky there because the 9 kissed off the 8. You know, I think what we saw there actually is played that kick combination, knowing the 5 was going to stay right there and the cue ball would probably go down the table, and he would have left Mark Tadd a bank on the 5 ball if he had missed it. And as you saw, he got a little bit lucky there. He got a good roll. But maybe not so much. Maybe he saw that there was a kiss off the 8 and it was going to go towards the pocket. That being the case, it was a good shot.
Kim Davenport is really a brilliant offensive player, and he may have saw exactly what had happened. He may have said, well, this has a chance to happen. I can pocket the 5-9 bank combination cleanly. There is a possibility that it may kiss in. I could even hit below the 5 and then at 5 and after contact go up table with the cue ball. So therefore, I think this is my best chance of winning this game, or at least getting out of this.
This and knowing that if he misses, he'll probably leave Tad a bank shot. Oh boy, he didn't hit he put a lot of right English on that and tried to slow roll that ball and he missed it. By the way, I was just going to mention that Kim will find out if he doesn't know already. I'm sure he does. Mark Tadd is an excellent banker. But you wouldn't want to leave this guy a bank shot.
But Mark Tadd, I believe, is doing the wrong thing here. I believe he should have positioned the cue ball behind the 3, not trying to position the 1 ball behind the 3.
Yeah.
Positioning the cue ball behind the 3, you could do that 100% of the time. Right. Positioning the 1 ball behind the 3, you can do that maybe 75 or 80% of the time, but that's not the only problem with that shot. It's much easier for him now to hit the 1 than it would have been for him to hit the 1 if the cue ball would have been behind the 3. 3 ball would have cut off a lot of the rails.
Kim's got a mass A to hit this ball. Did a nice job.
Okay, Mark should consider himself fortunate getting back to the table with this easy of a shot, or with a shot at all.
Right.
He elected to play safe, in my opinion, the incorrect way, but didn't seem to. He didn't suffer any consequence.
Well, let's see how accurate I am with my prediction about Mark Tadd's banking ability, because he's got a bank shot here.
Now, if he brushes the 4 going in, he may have a problem, which he didn't. He hit the 4 from the behind after hitting the cushion, which then shoved it out of the way, opened up the lane for the for the 3.
He handled that shot real well. Had a nice touch there. Uh-oh.
Okay, he's fallen a little bit short, but he's close enough to the 4 ball to where I believe he'll be able to hit it accurately.
Switches hands, left-handed. He's a good left-handed shooter.
The 5's in front of the side pocket. The 6 is at the other end of the table.
Well, we're seeing evidence that Mark Tadd does have all the weapons, right-handed, left-handed. He's got a nice soft touch. Actually, this is what I'm saying. He needs to know that his soft touch is a great way to play 9 ball and to kind of like begin to get away from that overpowering stroke that he wants to use all the time. It's almost like he wants to impress somebody with his powerful stroke. You don't need that powerful stroke that often, Billy. You know, maybe once every 3 or 4 games you got to really power a ball. Other than that, the 9 ball is a game of finesse. And he finessed these balls real well. You see, he has a real nice soft touch. And Mark takes a 6-5 lead. This is a good match here. Now it's like we're into the match now. We're past the preliminary stages. This is the meat of the match.
This is a race to 13, and we're almost at the halfway point of the match.
Billy, I understand you opted not to play in this tournament. Can I ask you why?
Well, you know, I haven't really been playing in many tournaments, and
Well, you're still a highly ranked player.
knowing that I had to do commentary, I thought that there would be a little bit too much for me, considering that we only have 4 tables on the floor, which I like this. Yeah, I like only 4 tables on the floor. It allows spectators to see more quality matches, because with 10 tables on the floor, and it just sort of like minimizes the quality matches that are like showcased. 4 tables
Well, you
on the
haven't.
floor.
I heard your answer in there somewhere, and I understand that if you have another responsibility, which you do, is doing commentary. And the question I have for you is, when are we going to see you out here playing again? When do you intend to play?
Well, I really can't answer that question, Jay. Maybe in the near future, possibly. But I enjoy doing commentary, and I feel that I do more for the game by doing commentary than I would have if I played. So.
Well, we
I'm
all
quite
have
happy.
we all have our own roles. We feel. I found that my niche has been in working tournaments, directing, and promoting events and things like that, and I enjoy that. Although I get the bug to play. In fact, I just heard about this big tournament, this one pocket tournament Grady's having up at the Flamingo. I think the Accu-Stats will be covering, and I'm thinking about dusting off my old cue and trying to play some one pocket.
Well, one pocket is a favorite game of mine also, Jay, and there's a good chance that I'll play in that tournament. I don't know if Accu-Stats will be there, but I was just informed that Accu-Stats will be there. That'll probably diminish my performance slightly, but they will.
I won't miss you in that one, Bill. I won't miss you in that one.
I still will play in that tournament.
Yeah. I try to play one tournament a year. That's my schedule. I played at my last big tournament was Billiards last year. I won a couple matches. That seems to be my record in most 9-ball tournaments is 2-2, which is 1 match out of the money.
Okay, Kevin Davenport looking very smoothly out there, trailing by 1 game at 5-6. Looking to knot this match up once again at 6 games apiece. Good-looking guy from Modesta, California. Beautiful wife.
Yeah, Aida is.
Aida is a beautiful woman, very, very reserved woman, never says anything.
His career has really taken off since he got married several years ago. I think Aida is really an inspiration for Kim.
I also agree with that. And after game number 12, it's Kim Davenport and Mark TADD all knotted up, 6 games apiece.
Got a good match on our hands.
And on the adjacent table, Nick Varner and Jose Del Rosario. I believe his name's Jose Del Rosario.
That's right.
From the Philippines.
Just one
another
more.
strong player from the Philippines, I might add. And in that particular match, I believe Del Rosario is leading in that match 4-3.
Yeah, it's early in that match. Yeah, you know, Nick was just taken ill a couple days ago. Was actually hospitalized 2 days ago, and there was a question whether he was going to be able to play or not. I'm just glad to see him out here, and I just spoke with him about an hour or so ago. He's still in recovery. He's weak right now, so his game may not be at its peak level. It may not be good enough for this. This Del Rosario is another strong player. I haven't seen a bad player yet from the Philippines. And right next to him is, of course, the Philippine master himself, Efren Reyes.
Who's making it, is making short work of Sal Butera leading. Oh, he's trailing in that match.
No.
Efren Reyes is trailing in that match.
He's trailing 5-2.
5-2. I thought he was in front of Sal Butera. I'm sorry, Sal.
Oh, Sal's playing good.
I'm sorry, Sal. I didn't want to tarnish your effort in any way. You are leading against probably one of the most feared players in the world, and deservingly so, Efren Reyes.
Well, believe me, Sal Butera is primed and ready, and he is a strong player. In the tradition of his family, his father being a Hall of Famer, Lou Butera. Let's see what he's going to do here now. Looks like a safety. He just stopped the cue ball right on the 7. Yep. That's pretty much a textbook safety and a real good one.
Now, if he's positioned the cue ball real close to the 7, cutting off the side cushion, Kim's really got a problem hitting the 3. It doesn't appear that he has an accessible route. Well, he bent over to take a look to see if he could get in there. Maybe he can. He's got to go up behind the 4.
I think he's got to massé this bank a little bit just to hit it.
Well, if he massays it, he's got a problem. because now the 4 ball plays a larger role, and he's going to have a problem getting it. He would like to hit behind the 4 and go around it to hit the 3. And I believe he has that.
He's shooting straight at it. If he's doing that, he must be able to hit the ball. Yep. And he scratched. Behind the ball, and the cue ball followed right into the pocket.
Okay, now if he would have struck that ball with a below center ball, the likelihood of a scratch would have been decreased enormously. He allowed the cue ball to go forward, hitting it with a high ball, and go forward and into the corner pocket. Had he hit it with some speed and drawn the ball, he would have been less likely to have scratched there.
I think it, and I can't see into his mind, but I think his thinking was that if he used a low ball, he might not hit the 3, and he felt like this was the stroke that would hit the ball. But I agree with you. I think he could have hit it with a low ball and kept the cue ball out of the pocket. He's got to shoot this 4 up in the end. No problem.
What Kim tried to do, apparently, was to hit the cushion before the 3, hitting the top part of the 3, sending the cue ball down this end of the table. I feel that he just misjudged the kick, hit it inaccurately, and really suffered the consequence for it.
You know, I think I'd agree with you. That's a good assessment of that shot. But the net result is Mark Tadd's going to run out this rack, barring some unforeseen problem, which is very doubtful. That's all. That's unusual to see Mark even stop and take a look.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah.
It sure is.
I kind of like the way he's playing right now, though. He's playing a controlled game. He seems to have disciplined himself a little bit more this match than other matches I've seen him play.
Well, he seems a lot more sedate out there, relaxed than he normally does. And even though he has made a few unforced errors in the match, he has the lead against Kim Davenport, one of the most feared players on the tour, 7-6. And I agree with what you say. He seems much more relaxed out there. It looks like it's largely due to the success that he's had on the poker tour. I feel.
You know, after his girlfriend Julie Nojak showed up, he's relaxed. He's relaxed since she came into the room. And she's sitting over on the sidelines watching him play. And he seems to be a little bit more comfortable. He's smiling over at Julie. Maybe he was a little bit edgy. He was expecting to see her here, and now she's here. And he looks good. He looks comfortable.
Okay, he broke the balls in this rack, and they really didn't open up well. The 5 and 9 are near the lower right-hand corner pocket.
Looks like it goes. It looks like you can throw that 9 in off the 5. Look out.
He's going to end up with the shot very quickly, Rick, if you don't mind. Give us a close-up to the 5 and 9 in relation to that corner pocket. But let's wait till after he pockets the 2 here, if he does. And then we'll zoom down on the 5 and 9, and we'll see. We'll get a little closer look, and we'll be able to determine whether or not the 5-9 will go into that corner pocket.
You'll see shots like this missed all week, this 2-ball. This long, straight shot like this is not an easy shot on this table, going down the rail. You got to hit it just like that. You've got to hit the pocket cleanly.
Okay, let's take a look at it. And it looks like that it may go, but he's going to have to hit the high side of the 5 possibly. He's positioned the cue ball to play a billiard.
Yeah.
At least that's
what he's looking at right now.
At least that's what I feel he's done. Now he has to be careful not to hit below the 5. He's going to have to hit either in the center of the 5 or on top of the 5.
The high side. Yeah.
If he hits below the 5, he may not make the billiard.
Right, he's looking at it, and the way he's studying it, I think that I would agree with you that he knows he's got to hit the high side of the 5 ball to make this 9.
Looks like he's going for the 3, Jay.
Maybe he's just going to... He's not certain yet. I wonder if he's thinking about playing it safe and putting the cue ball behind the 5-9.
Well, he could have that thought, because we really can't tell for sure exactly where the 5-9 are.
Here we go. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Well, he didn't actually get behind the 9, but the 6 is blocking the 3.
Now, Mark may try to go over the 6 by jumping over the 6. He'll have to elevate the butt of his cue, heading downward onto the cue ball.
He's a long way from that 6 ball.
Trying to go over the 6. Now, he's got a pretty good stroke for this type of a shot. He's actually in an optimal position.
3 rails. There it goes.
It was actually had an optimal position near the cushion to shoot that type of a shot. The rail aided him in his
Now watch
leverage.
This guy is probably as good a shot maker as there is today. Right in the same league with Kim. See that?
Well, this is speed
Boom.
that he hit with.
Yeah,
very hard.
right. That's a pretty intimidating shot. The cue ball was buried in the corner pocket. The 4 ball was way down the table, and he just fired it in. Now I think he can make this 9.
He's playing safe. Looks like he's playing safe for some reason, or maybe he's trying to make
he's
the 9 on the billiard.
trying to do the billiard. Yeah, hit the 5, then the 9. Yep, that's what he tried to do.
That's what he tried to do. He tried to move the 9 by hitting the 5 first, and then after the 9 started to go in motion, he wanted to catch it again, billiarding it into the corner pocket.
A knowledge shot.
A high wrist shot, too, I might add, and it looks like he's taken the worst of it.
You know, I think that shot can be made from where he was. He just didn't hit it properly. A player like Siegel or Varner, or you know how to hit that ball. Kim missed in that narrow side pocket.
And he's left Mark a very easy billiard, 5-7 billiard. Now what Mark needs to do is hit the 5 thinly. After contacting the rail, he will then go into the 7. The cue ball will then leave that area of the table, and then that's a very nice shot. Notice that he hit the bottom cushion with the cue ball prior to hitting the 7, which alleviated the problem of him getting stuck down there at the bottom. So therefore he's executed that shot very nicely.
I have a funny feeling after this match, Mark's going to practice that little billiard he just missed, because that is a makeable shot that he had.
It's a type of a shot that really doesn't come up that often. As a matter of fact, it's a rarity when you see that type of a shot. So therefore, the players really aren't accustomed to shooting.
Watch this, he's dead straight on the 8.
That's just carelessness once again.
Yeah.
And there's one place on the table you didn't want to end up, and he's ended up there. That's exactly straight in on the 8. Now, had he had that in mind, for certain he wouldn't have been in that position.
Well, with his stroke, he could go he's going down table and back. He's going to draw the ball all the way down to the back.
Well, he's close enough to the object ball to get a good stroke into it. Now the ball seems to be coming back again.
He can use a lot of left English. Get that in there. It's all right.
Okay, Mark TADD after game number 14 for the first time in the match, by the way, takes a 2-game lead against Kim Davenport, 8 games to 6. Now Kim's got to be really careful from this point on, not to...
He's talking with Julie on the sidelines about that little 5-9 billiard combination he had, and he's trying to figure it out himself, I think. Why didn't that work? Like you said, it's not a shot that comes up often. It's a tricky little shot, and if you don't know exactly how to execute it, it ends up just like it did for Mark.
Actually, Kim really didn't make a mistake. He hooked Mark behind the 6 ball. Mark then jumped over the 6 and three-railed the 3 into the corner pocket, and Kim never returned to the table.
If there was any mistake Kim made, it was not putting the cue ball right on the 5-9. There wouldn't have been a jump shot there then.
Right, now Kim could have executed the shot to perfection and done what Jay said that it was possible to do. Had he done that,
here we go.
Mark wouldn't have been able to jump over the 6.
Here's a 2-9 combination here.
Now this isn't a gimme. He's got to concentrate on this.
Yeah, it's tougher because the 9's right on the rail. If it was off the rail a hair, it would be a little bit easier shot, I think. He's got to hit this perfect.
Okay, you disregard the safety here. Just go all out for the shot. Okay, and that was a good shot. That was game number 15. Kim Davenport narrows the gap to 1 game. Now the score 7 for Davenport and 8 for TADD.
That was an area a couple, 3 years ago where Kim used to be a little bit weaker. I would see him play combinations on the 9 and miss them relatively often.
There's Mike Massey, regarded by his peers as the world's greatest trick shot
How about those suspenders?
exhibitionist, and there's Greg Fix, his partner, or his opponent, I should say. Mike's leading in that match 5 games to 3, and Kim has just broken the balls in game 16, pocketing the 1 ball on the break, the 6 ball coming in between the cue ball and the 2 ball.
There goes Mark off to the sidelines. He's wandering out the door. He's taking a break. So we may have a slight delay in this match. Kim's pushed out here. He's going to push out.
I don't particularly agree with this push. He's giving Mark a shot that there's no
He
way.
wanted to put him right on top of the 9. He did. Well, I don't
Well,
think
he
Mark will
did.
take that shot.
Okay, well, I don't blame Mark for not accepting the shot if he says, "Go ahead, Kim, you shoot." Let's take a look at the shot now that we have a little more time to do that.
Okay.
Okay, he has to elevate over the 9, which that in itself will increase or decrease the accuracy of the shot quite a bit, especially going to the length of the table. Notice the amount of distance the 2 ball is from the cue ball. Well, not only does he have to hit the 2 ball accurately to pocket the 2, but notice the position of the 3 to the left of the foot spot. And if he hits it with a high ball, it looks like the natural angle after contacting the 2 will send them into the balls on the left of the table.
Right.
Now, there's a good possibility that he may even get hooked if he makes the 2 ball. So therefore, with that compounding problem of position and making the ball, I don't believe if I were him, I would accept the shot.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you. Rick, can we see that 9 cue ball? Take a look at this, Billy. See the cue ball sticking out there a little bit, so he's not directly over the top of it. He can hit a little bit of that cue ball, and I think 99 players out of 100 would pass on the shot, but I believe that Mark TADD, the kind of player he is, he likes the challenge of a tough shot. He likes to show off his ability. I have a funny feeling he'll get up there and shoot this ball just because he sees an open 2 ball.
Okay, I agree with your prediction that the type of a player Mark TADD is, he's one of the very few that may accept this shot. But even though the right side of the cue ball is hittable, and he's not directly over the 9, that suggests that he's going to put a little bit of right-hand English on the cue ball, and that'll even shorten it up more, sending it into the balls on the left, and the likeliness of a hook then will become even greater.
I'm going to take it a step further. I say that Mark will take the shot and he'll miss the 2 because it's a tough shot.
Well, then you're a favorite once again. Okay, there's Efren Reyes having his problems against Sal Butera, trailing in that match 3-7. But he is at the table preparing to break the balls. Nick, notice the difference in the light on table number 1 compared to the featured table where Pat Fleming and his very competent
Mark is
staff,
back.
Rick Bowling, has set up
Mark is back.
television lights over top the feature table.
Oh, well, I was wrong. He walked back, he took one look at it, and just waved to Kim.
Oh. Okay.
Well,
okay, and I think Kim has put himself in a very precarious position here.
Yeah, that's a sign of maturity that Mark would pass that shot, because I think there was a time where he wouldn't.
Okay, Kim, realizing the the difficulty of pocketing the 2 ball and attaining position on the 3 was very difficult, so he opted to play a safety. Not only was pocketing the 2 difficult, playing position on the 3, but the safety was also difficult, as we all saw.
I think Kim was hoping Mark would take the shot. It may have surprised him a little bit that Mark walked back in and hardly glanced at the table and just waved him right up there.
I don't know if he can pocket the 4 cleanly into the side pocket. It looks like he may be able to do that. We'll be able to tell very shortly, and obviously he can pocket the 4 in the fashion that he played shape on the 4. It certainly is a strong indication that he can pocket the 4, which he's done. Now he's drawing the cue ball toward the 5. He's in pretty good line here. All you need to do is come across the table. I'd use the other side of the side pocket to play position for the 6. I wouldn't go to the short side. I go above side pocket here.
I think he's going to do just exactly what you told him.
Well, going that way is a little more risky.
That was risky. He was only about 2 inches short of the side pocket there. Even with the break, this match is ahead of the other matches. They've played more games than any other match this round. It's because both these players don't waste any time.
Well, Mark TADD in particular, he's a very, very fast player at the table, taking very little time in between shots.
Again, he straight in on the 8 ball. He tapped the chalk on the rail, show his displeasure with himself. But he's got that big stroke where he can get that cue ball around if he's got to.
Well, if he's forcing it to the side cushion and back down table, watch out for this corner pocket, the lower right. It's open there, and he could go into it because that particular type of a shot is extremely difficult to control the direction of the cue ball.
Look at this, boy. He's in a bad spot. He can't even reach this ball. Well, he's an excellent banker. Yeah, it's one of these Q-Techs. He's playing with one of these Q-Techs similar to what Earl uses. He banked this ball. Yeah, it's falling off into the rail. gave up the game.
I didn't particularly care for the way that he banked the ball. With the speed that he hit it with, certainly didn't help the direction of the shot.
He didn't have a lot of intensity on that shot, that's for sure. He kind of slow rolled it like he was lagging a one-pocket shot.
No, before I shoot a bank like that, I'm going to play safe.
Yeah.
Before I shoot, because if you miss that bank at the speed that he hit it with, you know you have to sell it out, number one, right? Number two, by hitting it with that soft speed, using the bridge, you decrease the accuracy of the shot. Number three, you do not allow yourself the chance to make it two cushions.
He didn't look real comfortable with that bridge, I'll tell
So
you.
the way that he hit that ball certainly was a sign of inexperience to me.
Yeah. Well, again, like many money players, he's used to playing matches where he never would use a bridge.
Okay, Kim Davenport comes up dry on the break, but with suffering very little consequence. It looks like Mark TADD may be able to see a portion of the ball. Well, of course, I can't tell from the angle that I have. I don't believe that Mark can hit the one ball.
He's pushing out to where he can see the edge of the one ball.
He's pushing out for a kick, which I know Kim Davenport's not going to accept. And matter of fact, I think Mark TADD has now put himself in a very, very difficult situation.
Looks like he's actually shooting at the edge of the one, trying to cut it in. He did, and he was unsuccessful.
Well, it's not over yet.
Look at this.
Okay, he's left Kim a shot on the one, a very thin cut in the upper right-hand corner pocket, which no doubt Kim will try to execute. Now the problem with this shot is the position of the two. He's going to really be hard pressed to get a position.
Yeah, he spun that pretty
On
good.
the two. He was able to go into the 8 with the cue ball, stopping the progress of the cue ball, and he's now come up with some kind of a shot on the 2. It's not the type of an angle that he needed to get position for the 3, or he wanted to get position for the 3, but it's workable. He will be coming down this side of the table, and that's where the 3's positioned.
Kim's taking a little more time right now, and I think he realizes this is a stretch drive of this match. This match is going to be won or lost in the next 2 or 3 games. And this is where experience comes in, and he may have...
I tell you what, it looks like it's very close, Rick. Bowling, our cameraman, it looks like it's very close, whether or not he can pocket the 3.
Looks like he's shooting at it. He's
very
leveling
close.
Using a lot of left English so he could throw it a little bit to the right, and he did.
Watch out for the cue ball once again.
Better hit that 8.
Thank you, 8.
That 8's been saving him this rack.
Okay, once again, he seems to be in a tight position here. Where he has to avoid the 9. He has to drop in between the 6 and the 7. He has to worry about the side pocket. There are a lot of things that are happening. He went around the 9 into the 6. That's a good shot. That's a good shot he made there. He used excellent judgment in choosing that path for position for the 5. This is the key shot of the rack, attaining a nice angle on the 6 to drop nicely for the 7. Looks like he may have to go down table and possibly even around the 9. See, I didn't like going around the 9. I like this coming up, back up toward the 7, staying to the left of the 9, which will aid him in 2 different ways. One, he'll have a nice angle on the 7. After pocketing the 7, he'll use the side cushion to go across table for the 8. And then the other reason I like that shot, he would never go into the 9 that way, creating a problem for himself.
He's got a problem here. He was shaking his head as he walked around the table. He's got to hit this hard and draw it. And he didn't work. No.
Well, that's really not the type of a shot that Kim Davenport should have shot, because with the experience that he has, he shot it so hard that he
looked like Mark TADD.
Reduced the size of that pocket considerably.
Yeah.
Before shooting a shot like that, I would just follow it down and bank the 8 cross side, because the 7 ball hitting it at that speed would have been a more difficult shot than banking the 8 cross side. But at least you have the opportunity to shoot the 8. This way, you give up the shot too easily. The difficulty of shooting the 7, pocketing at the speed that he hit it with, would have been more difficult than banking the 8 cross side. So that's the way I would have assessed it and made my decision. Kim Davenport, seeing it differently, shooting the 7 into the corner pocket with the speed that he did,
It's a little bit baffling, Billy, what he did, because he walked around the table shaking his head, and he knew he was in a difficult position, and he barely studied it. He just immediately got down on it and framed it about 100 miles an hour, and it just was, it kind of looked like the old Kim Davenport from 5 or 6 years ago.
Exactly. Now, what I thought happened there, Jay, was simply a matter of being really unhappy with himself on position for position on the 7, and
he had a mental lapse there.
Right, and he had definitely had a concentration lapse, and he didn't allow himself to regroup after playing poor position on the 7 and making a good decision. He just said, "Oh, heck with it! I'm just going to head and just whack this in and draw the ball back," and that's what he was thinking, and nothing else.
Yeah. It was a 2-game swing. Instead of being ahead 9-8, he trails 9-8 now.
Now the 4-ball's position in front of the lower right-hand corner pocket, the 5 is at the other end of the table. Playing position on the 5 may be a problem. I can see 3 cushion route toward the 5, shooting the 5 in the upper left-hand corner pocket. Now he wants to go 3 cushions there around the table for the 5 in the upper left-hand corner pocket.
Hit it pretty good.
Okay, it may have gone a little bit too far, but no, I think he's okay. He has gone a little too far, but it's workable. He's going to have to float this in the corner.
Right. Be fine if he can just roll this in.
Made a nice shot. Very nice shot. At
nice
the speed
touch
that he had to hit it with, he made an excellent shot.
Always a difficult shot to float a ball like that. Well, Efren's coming back against Sal, too. I see he trails now 5-7. I think Kim's all right here. We've had an extremely close match so far. Nobody's taken a big lead. I think Kim had 1 2-game lead. That was it. Or excuse me, Mark had 1 2-game lead.
That's true, Ed. You know, and each of these players have had opportunities to, you know, extend their lead.
That cue ball
something
fell
happened,
over
you know.
That cue ball fell over and almost got corner hooked. He's all right. So now we got a 9-9 tie. It's a race to 4 from here. On the adjoining tables, we got a couple upsets in the making. Whether they'll transpire or not remains to be seen. But Jose Del Rosario leads Varner 8-5, and Salbutera leads Efren Reyes 7-5. All those matches are certainly not over by any means. Up there in the blue jacket, turning around, I think he's walking out to call a shot, is my assistant director, Rick Nestor. He works a lot of the local tournaments around the LA area. Very capable billiard man. Then we come back to Kim's break. Again, not a particularly effective break, and he's going to leave Mark a real good shot on the 1.
All right, getting position for the 2 may be somewhat of a problem. If you notice the position of the 2 at the other end of the table, near that bottom cushion, about 6 inches off of it in the center of the table. Now, he would like to go cross table twice, but the 8-ball may preclude him from being able to do that. So let's take a look and to see exactly how he plays position.
He did.
He was able to avoid hitting the 8, going cross table twice, and ending up in pretty good line for the 2. It looks like the remainder of this rack, providing that he keeps his concentration level high, shouldn't be a problem for him. The balls are open.
I think both players are in their groove right now, so we're going to see Mark Tadd's A game, which looks just like this. He shoots, he gets himself in position, and by the time the cue ball stops, he's ready to shoot the next shot. He doesn't waste any time at all, a la Earl.
It's got to elevate slightly here, so this is probably the key shot of the rack.
Yep.
Pocketing the 6 and getting a nice shot on the 7, which he's done very nicely. Back to the center of the table for position on the 7. Very smoothly done. Game number 19. Appears that it's going to go Mark TADD's way.
A 40-second wreck to Mark TADD.
And it does. After game number 19, now it's Mark TADD, the man with the lead, 10 games to 9.
Well, they've been trading games all the way, Billy. I got a funny feeling that it's a big advantage to being at the table right now.
It's been TADD with the upper hand throughout the entirety of the match, leading by 1 game, 2 games, and then back to even, then by 1 and 2 and 1 and even again. But he trailed very shortly by the score of 5-4. But since then he hasn't trailed. He's been either tied up or in the lead. So Kim Davenport's been the man the entire match that's been fighting.
There's not a real strong feeling one way or the other. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite here. I think this match could still go either way.
It could go either way, but Kim Davenport's the man that's been facing the adversity of coming
Trailing.
from behind, trailing and coming from behind all the time. So therefore, I think there's a little more strain that's been put on him. Mark has had the good fortune to have had the lead throughout most of the match.
I wonder how it would be if Kim got a game ahead. The 2-7 is where Kim's going to face a problem if he makes this long 1 ball, which he should. Obviously, he's got to play a safety here. Exactly what he's going to do, well, he seems to know right away.
This isn't going to be as easy as it appears. He may shoot the 2 into the 7 if he's not careful here. Or if
he banked the 2 right in the pocket.
If he pockets the 2, he could create a problem for himself too.
He didn't want to make that ball.
What he wanted to do was double bank the 2 and try to hide Mark behind the 3, 4, and the 7. Well, in order to avoid contact with the 7 with the 2, he had to cut the 2, and when he cut the 2, he lost control of both the object ball and the cue ball.
Let's see, is Kim shooting the 3 and the side? I just no. No, he's just playing a safety.
Well, if he hits this ball thinly, the corner pocket up there is very big. He could be going right toward it. Now, he didn't want to hit the 3 hard enough to where it would clear going past the 7, opening up the pocket for the 7.
Kim, take a look. I think the 3 will pass the 7, although Kim did what he wanted to do. He left Mark on the end rail.
I think the 3 will go into the corner pocket off of the around the 7. I don't believe it's blocking the entire
Mark's
pocket.
jacked up. He's got about a 10-foot shot here, so this is not an easy shot.
He's going to go into the 4 if he pockets the 3. And
he did, and I think he got away with it.
He certainly did get away with it. Hitting at that speed, he didn't figure to come up with a shot.
Nicely done there. That was real nice cue ball control, drawing back on that 5 on the short rail.
I actually thought Kim made his mistake in this rack when he decided to pocket the 1, not giving himself a real good position for the 2. If he could have pocketed the 1, put himself in a good position for the 2, I would have agreed with him. Pocket the 1 and go ahead and do that.
Boy, Mark will make you pay for your mistakes. He'll take the game real quick.
Okay, now Mark once again has a 2-game lead in the match and is getting late for Kim Davenport. Time's running out. Race to 13. Mark has 11 games. Kim has 9.
Mark is what I like to call a punishing player. Every time you make a mistake, he grabs a game or 2. He doesn't often give it back. Well, for the first time during the match, he's questioned the rack. You know, one thing we've seen very little of since the beginning of the match is balls going on the break, which is surprising because both these fellows have strong breaks. I know Mark would dearly love to make a ball on the break and have a shot at the 1 this rack. He'd love to get to the hill. We're going to see a big break here. Well, he hit him pretty hard.
Yeah,
he got
did.
1 ball.
He really laid into the break, that rack. Pocketing 2 balls. 2 balls on the break.
And a shot at the 1. This could be the coup de grace.
Now Kim has to be concerned with getting back to the table.
Yeah. Mark would like to leave him right in his chair. Once again, he works through the rack. Ooh. Very surprising.
Okay, Kim Davenport has an opportunity to do something good for himself now. It looked like that Mark TADD was going to get on the hill there, especially the way the balls were lying, and take a very, very big lead, especially considering the what part of the match we're in. We're in the very deep part of the match by 11 games to 9 in favor of TADD, and if he would have won that game, he would have been on the hill 12 to 9.
Boy,
so
he could
it's
have put
late
him
in
away
the
there.
match.
He could have put him away there. He might have broken right out the last. I don't know. That's real indicative of an immature player. He had a relatively easy 6-ball that he didn't have to do. All he had to do was actually just make the ball and draw it back where he is, and he hit the ball much harder than he had to.
And exactly. He could have also drawn the ball with a smooth stroke. This better go in for Kim Davenport. If it doesn't, he's got a problem,
And
which it does.
Yeah.
So he could have, TADD that is, could have drawn the ball back just as well with a smooth, soft stroke, but he chose to use a hard draw stroke, which he really didn't need to use, reducing the size of the pocket.
It's unexplainable what he did on that 6-ball. It's really unexplainable, and I can only attribute it to immaturity. It was almost like a little slap in the face to Kim, like, I'll show you, I'll just whack this ball. Except it didn't work. He whacked it all right, and it got rejected. And it put Kim right back. He could have put the match away, basically. Now Mark's sitting over there shaking his head, wondering what happened. What happened is he missed a hanger.
And what happened is the start of a comeback for Kim Davenport also.
Instead of being behind 12-9, it's 11-10, and he's breaking, so he's very much in the match. Mark's got that shot to think about for a while, for the next day or so. He may escape this match yet, but he certainly didn't do himself any favors on that 6-ball. I think there's a word for that, name for that, called fear of flying. It was almost like he saw that he had a chance to win the match and he found a way to throw it away. I think he realized that he was on the verge of beating Kim Davenport. Look out. Ooh, the 9 almost went in the side. Once again, Kim doesn't make anything on the break, but the 6 and the 9 are in between the cue and the 1 ball, so Mark's in a situation where he's going to have to push out somewhere. So he's going to have to draw on the weakest part of his game, which is his defensive play. He's looking to roll out down to the end of the table where he's standing. And he's going to.
You know, I look for Kim to take this shot. There's a wall of balls to the left of the 1 ball, and they are the 4, 6, and 9. If he rolls the 1 ball or the cue ball down to the table, hitting the left side of the 1, I think that he can possibly get Mark behind one of those balls. You would like to get him behind the 4, sending the cue ball to the side cushion around that center diamond. He's going to give the shot to Mark, and if he gives the shot to Mark, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, I think he's got to shoot somewhere, even if he's going to play it safe.
Well, I like playing a safety here. Shooting the 1 ball. Actually, shooting the 1 ball to where the vicinity of where the 3 ball. No, he's cutting the 1 ball to the left.
Yeah.
I don't know about this. This is haphazard. I feel it's rather risky. Rather risky. He might sell out a shot a little easier this way. but he did create distance. That's one good
Right.
thing about that shot he has selected. Is
He was
that
trying to bring the cue all the way up, maybe behind the 8-7 somehow. But he left Mark a real tough shot here. Mark jumped up and fired at
notice
it.
the speed that Mark hits certain shots with, giving himself a good chance of pocketing it in another pocket.
Yeah. Warp speed. Yeah, he likes to.
And it's worked out for him on a few different occasions.
Once again, Mark and Kim are taking a break.
Scott Narkovsky did upset Johnny Archer, and that may have been the biggest upset of the night. But I watched that match, and I was really impressed with the way that young man from New York plays the game.
Oh, he's a player. He's a player. He's another 100-ball straight pool runner out of New York, and they're all well schooled. I mean, his fundamentals are real sound. He's real solid at the table, and he holds up well. He's got a good disposition. Kim's going down table with a 1.
Hitting it really
Bobbled
well.
it in, but it went. He hit it good. He hit it real good.
Now
He's got another tough shot here.
He has to be careful not to hit the point of the side pocket. So when you get this type of a shot, you want to make sure that you hit it thinly. You want to make sure that you avoid contacting the point of the side pocket. That's a good angle, Rick.
He hits these shots good, though. This is one of Kim's strong shots.
Okay,
here.
he missed the point, and now he's gotten rewarded. For
I like the way Kim hits balls down the rail. I think he's got as good an eye as anybody. Excuse me, Billy. Go ahead.
Now, Kim, what he's doing now is he's walking around the table, trying to figure out exactly where he needs to be for position on the 5, which is the key ball in this rack. And also there's another key shot position on the 7, getting from the 6 to the 7. But first business at hand is getting position on the 5. He's determining where he wants to be on the 4 before he shoots the 3.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, well, if I roll down here for position on the 4 and the side, all I need to do then is to follow the ball maybe up for position on the 5 in the side pocket.
Same side as the 3, so where you shoot the 5 then. Let's see. That's exactly what he's going to do.
Okay, now he's gone down table too far for that, I do believe. Maybe not. It looks like he's got an angle now where he's going to have to force the cue ball in between the 5 and 6, play position for the 5 in the lower left-hand corner pocket. Shooting a 3 in that fashion, actually he has given himself an option had he gone down too far, and the option is to go in between the 5 and 6 with the cue ball for position for the 5 in the lower left-hand corner, which he's done. Now he has to think, where do I want to be on the 6? Because if the 7 will pass the 8 into the lower left-hand corner pocket, then it simplifies the problem. But if it does not pass the 8, then he has to get in a certain area for position on the 6, which is the most accessible route to the 7.
Well, he's shooting the 5 up here in the corner past the 8. He's going to hold the cue ball right there as close as he can, shoot the 6 in the upper right corner.
I don't know if I like that angle there.
Yeah.
Any kind of a straight-in shot would or should or may, I should say, create a problem for the subsequent shot, getting position for the 7. And now it looks like he's going to have to draw the cue ball on this side of the side pocket, and he's going to...
He's looking at that. Yeah,
his margin for error isn't all that great if he does this.
This is a real tight position here. He's going to draw for that short rail position. Looks like he's done it perfectly, though.
Okay, he's hit it very nicely, and he's got actually the maximum out of that particular shot.
Hit that real well. Nice touch. That's another strong part of his game. His draw for position is real good. He's got good cue ball speed normally, although we did see him make an error early in the match drawing for position.
Now he's trying to decide whether he should go 2 cushions or roll this. If he goes 2 cushions, he faces the problem with the 9. Okay, he's decided to roll it, saying, I want to stay away from the 9, make sure I don't get in back of it. I'll take my chances of the ball skidding on me, hitting it at a very soft speed. Well, it worked out for him. He's shooting the 8, and he's got a good chance of tying up the match, Jay. 11 games apiece here.
Well, if Mark TADD loses this match, I think he can look back to that 6 ball he missed. That was the turning point right there.
It was a very crucial shot to determine the outcome of this match. Had he struck the 6 ball with a softer stroke, but a better stroke, he would have then been able to draw the cue ball back and actually made the pocket play a lot larger than he did by hitting with the hard stroke that he used. After game number 22, the match is once again knotted up Now with the score being 11 games for TADD and 11 games for Davenport.
Boy.
It's getting late.
It's getting late for Efren Reyes, too. Salbuterra's pulled out to a 12-7 lead, and he's breaking for the match right now. Efren's in trouble here. Sal's a real intense player, just like his dad used to be, I'll tell you. Sal's hungry for victory. I know I deal with Sal a lot over at AAA Billiards, and he wants to win out here. He wants to win a major tournament. And he's determined to, and I'll tell you, I give a lot of credit to somebody who's determined.
You have to give Sal Butera a tremendous amount of credit in two regards, and that is that he's able to go ahead and concentrate and play well in tournaments. And not only that, he's playing one of the most intimidating players in the world in Efren Reyes, so therefore that just compounds the problem of not being able to concentrate in tournaments.
Yes.
And when you're playing a player like Efren Reyes, you know, you really got to keep it together or else forget about it.
And the other thing, he's following the footsteps of a father who had a brilliant career.
He certainly has. You know, an inductee into the Hall of Fame, a very popular player with just about everyone that knows him.
Twice world champion, you know, so that says a lot right there. Anyway, Kim broke again, didn't make a ball. His break has not been that effective this match. If there's anything that's been his downfall, it's just that, because normally Kim's break is real strong. I mean, I'm used to seeing him make a ball or two almost every break.
And that's an interesting point you brought up, Jay. Kim's break hasn't really been what we felt it would be prior to the match starting. He hasn't made as many balls as we anticipated that he would, coming up dry quite too often, at least for Kim, but not for Mark. Mark says, well, I like this, you know, I like having an opportunity after the break and when my opponent breaks the balls.
Let's see if Mark can shake off the effects of that missed 6 ball. He absolutely needs to run out this rack to get his confidence back.
It looks like he's digging down the cue ball, suggesting to me at least that he's playing position for the corner pocket for the 4, which he's done. Okay, now he may have to follow this ball, but he's drawing it. Maybe he can draw back for position on the side, on the 5.
You know, as great a player as this young fella is, there's still the feeling I have when I watch him is that I'm never surprised if he misses a shot. It's kind of like, again, watching Keith play, that he may shoot 5 or 6 beautiful shots in a row and then for some unexplainable reason miss a relatively easy shot. There's not this sense, like when you're watching Earl play, you know he's going to run out. With this guy, it's like I don't have certainty in watching him play, although he should handle these last 3 balls. Now, if he ever develops his game to the point where you can observe him play and watch with certainty, knowing that he's going to run a rack, he'll be a champion.
Yeah, are you suggesting or saying if you happen to sponsor either Keith McCready or Mark TADD, you're going to grow gray hairs quickly? Or
lose the few remaining hairs you have, in my case.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, Mark TADD's the player that's the first one to reach the hill. And after game 23, it's Mark TADD needing only one more game to close Kim Davenport out, 12 games to 11.
You didn't know I had a full head of hair before I started staking Keith.
You know, you're right. I don't know if you've ever had a full head of hair, because I've known you only to have that wonderfully looking dome of yours.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. Thanks. I like your mustache, too.
Even though it has turned rather gray.
Yeah. Well, we've aged well, Ben. We've aged well.
Okay, Mark TADD's last opportunity to break the balls in this match. Okay, it doesn't appear that Mark's going to pocket a ball on the break to Kim's delight, and now Kim has an opportunity back at the table with a chance to knot up the match.
He's got a pretty good shot here. The cue ball's on the rail, making it a little bit tougher, but if he can cut this 1 ball in the upper right corner, the 2 is in the lower left corner here. The key to this match, the key to this game, I think, is just making this 1 and getting shape on the 2.
That's exactly right, Jay. The problem that I see here is exactly the way you say it. Pocketing the 1 isn't that big of a problem, but attaining a shot on the 2 maybe seems to be the problem in this particular rack. If he can get a shot on the 2, he's home free, it looks like.
Yeah, there's nothing else tied up, no other difficult shots, really.
Looks like he's going to come up with a shot on the
Yeah.
2. He
I
hit,
like
he hit
the
it
way he
very
did that.
nicely, right.
Yeah.
Okay, now he would like to stay beneath the 3, because if you notice the position of the 4, the 8 blocks the pocket for the 4 going in the upper left-hand corner. If he stays beneath the 3, he can then go forward with the cue ball playing position for the 4 in the left-hand side.
Right. Correct. I think he can do that. I think he's in a good position to do that here. I expect we'll see exactly what you said take place.
Okay, he's got a little straighter in on the 3 than he wanted. He may be able to use the side cushion with left-hand spin, spinning off the side cushion and coming down table toward the 4, shooting it also in the still in the side pocket, but the opposite side. He's got too straight to go cross table, so he's going to have to go down table.
You know, he plays good when his back's against the wall, mark up a champion, which he's been several times now.
A lot of left-hand English.
Yeah. Kim can play from this spot. Mark is untested in these spots where he's got to come from behind and win.
Okay, I like him going around the 8 here. He should go around the 8. I do believe he has the angle to go around the 8, which will send him 3 cushions naturally toward the 5. He would like to hit the shot short, hitting the cushion around where his elbow is.
Again, I agree. I think he'll do exactly that, and he does. And he does it very well.
So now he's hit it short. Now he has to come out.
He's fine.
Okay.
He's fine.
Position for the 6 in the side, stopping the bar, drawing it back slightly for position on the 7 in the upper right-hand corner would probably be the simplest way from this point, or else he could play position for the 7 in the side.
Yeah, stop it right
And I
there.
think he's going to go for a position in the corner.
Right,
with the
just
7.
draw back a little bit. Draw back about 4 or 5 inches.
Well, I don't know what exactly he's doing. He's going up using a right-hand English for position in the side. The applause that we are hearing now is for Jose Del Rosario, who has just defeated Nick Varner by the score of 13 games to 7.
Remember, as we said earlier, Nick has been very ill the last couple of days. I don't think he's really 100%. He's going to draw right back up the table.
It appears that Kim Davenport's going to knot up this match at 12 games apiece. Meantime, we've run out of tape, so we'll be right back with the conclusion of this really exciting match. Okay, we're back, and we're back in time to catch the last game of this match, Jay. It's been a close, exciting match, sharply contested by both players. Now it's almost all over. 12 games apiece. The last break, the last game, to see who advances. Once again, just like he mentioned, his break has not been working for him, and once again he's come up dry.
He flaps his arms in disgust a little bit there. He doesn't understand it. Got a little bit of a good kick off. The 7 ball hit the cue ball and knocked it down a little bit. Otherwise, Mark would have had a better shot than 1.
You know, Mark's going after the shot, even though
I know it.
Even though the position of the 8 lies to where he knows the cue ball will go somewhere in that area and possibly into the 8. He's going to take his chances. The 2 ball is located in the center of the table.
He's flying it, but this is where his strength is. He's a great shot maker.
This is his style. Okay, he missed a 1, and it looks like he's going to suffer some consequence here by missing the 1. The 1 has come up in front of the corner pocket. Kim Davenport has a legitimate opportunity to win this match here. What do you think he's going to do with it?
I think he's got a good chance, but the problem is right there at the bottom middle of the table. That 4-7 together is where he's going to run into some problems. He's taking a look at that right now.
Okay. Now, the way I see it, Jay, is that if he can attain the angle to where he can stop the cue ball somewhere in the center of the table for position on the 3, it'll just take a natural 1 or 2 pushing around for position on the 4 in the same pocket.
Salvatierra just defeated Efren Reyes.
So now Nick Varner and Efren Reyes both have been upset.
Right, so a lot of that strength on the bottom of the board's going over to the left.
And Johnny Archer was upset yesterday. What's
yeah.
happening here?
Yeah, well, we're going to have
Is it in the water or what? Is it what? Well, anyway, this is a very important match, very important game to decide the outcome of this match. If he could draw the cue ball back about a foot or so, he would be in an ideal position to pocket the 3 and the 4, both in the same pocket.
Good shot.
Okay, now the problem is he wants to stay beneath the 4. He does not want to get on top of the 4 here, because if he goes on top of the 4 with the cue ball, the 7 ball will then come into play. He doesn't want the 7 ball to come into play because the position of the 5 is at the other end of the table, and that's the direction he wants the cue ball to go after he pockets the 4. So he would like to stay, if he can, below the 4 slightly. Notice how softly he hit it, trying to stay below the 4.
Nicely
Very
done.
nicely done.
Well analyzed and nicely executed.
Now look at the 6. It's on the other side of the table. It looks like it's in a precarious position, very close to the side pocket, but not makeable. In the side, naturally, he's going to have to go. He's going to have to either use one of the 2 corners, the upper right-hand corner or the lower left-hand corner. Lower right-hand corner for the 6.
That's going to be the tough shot of the match, and it looks like he put himself in a good position to play shape from the 5 to the 6.
But that's not the end of its problem, because the position of the 7 says to him, listen, I have to get straight in on the 6, because if I don't get straight in on the 6, I can't play position for the open pocket. I may have to end up playing position for the combination. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to play position for the pocket. In order for him to do that, he has to get straight in on the 6.
And once again, this is one of Kim's strong points. I think he's a good finisher. I like him in this spot. I think he can get the job done.
Okay, he's hit it with nice speed. It looks like he's going to get that straight in angle that he desperately needed.
Here's a guy that knows how to win when he gets a chance, unlike Mark Tadd, who had a chance and threw it away.
And if Kim Davenport goes on to win this match, what you said is exactly true. The inexperience of Mark Tadd was his undoing in this particular match. And the gutsy Kim Davenport is just the kind of a guy that'll steal a match away from you if you're not careful.
But you can see that Mark Tadd is a comer. This guy has all the tools to be a top player.
He certainly does, and he's just a little bit away from being a top player.
Mostly it's about his mental discipline.
Judgment at the table is a big part of why he's not successful as he should be on the tour.
Well, I think Kim's in a good position here. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get out.
The work in this rack is over with. All Kim needs to do now is make sure that he doesn't take anything for granted.
Yeah, these are the finishing touches. But he's been here so many times before. He's won. I've seen him win so many big matches. In just this spot, too, on the hill.
And Mark Tadd's probably thinking to himself, so close, but yet so far away. Kim Davenport's preparing to shoot match ball, and after he pockets match ball, he's going to breathe a deep sigh of relief. I'm glad this is over.
And that's it.
And he certainly is glad it's over. I thought it was a very exciting match, Jay. You know, I thought the players played well at different points of the match, and there were some mistakes, but it was a very exciting match, extremely well played at the end of the match by Kim Davenport in particular.
It was a match that was really in doubt all the way. There was no one who really looked like a favorite. I felt like either player could win the match at any time, the only real critical error being the missed 6 ball by Mark, where he could take a 12-game-to-9 lead, and it might have been an insurmountable lead at that point.
And I have to agree with you. At that point, it was 11-9. If Mark would have run the balls on the table, he would have then made the score 12-9. I felt that it would have been insurmountable also. But that's not what happened. Mark Tadd made that crucial mistake in game number, I believe it was in game number 21, and opened the door for Kim. The opportunist that Kim is took advantage of it coming back. Okay, Kim Davenport just stepped into the booth, and congratulations in your win here, Kim, against Mark Tadd, an up-and-coming player on the tour. He had you on the ropes in game number 21, shooting the 6 ball into the corner pocket. He shot a little bit too hard, and it popped out on him. How did you feel at that point?
Well, I was thinking to myself, boy, I'm going to let this one go here again, another close one, and it happened. And when I played it safe on that 6 ball, actually, and the tables are so slick. The ball just kept running and running and running, and it went in the hole. It just barely slid in the hole, so I was fortunate there. I never took the lead until the last game when I won the match.
Right.
Well, you had the lead very briefly at 5-4, I believe it was, here.
I don't think I ever took the lead, did I? Did I have
the way I kept score, you
5-4?
did.
Okay.
And of
Well, you
course,
kept
I may
score,
not
okay.
be accurate in keeping score. You could be right. But the biggest shot of the match for you was when he shot the 6 in the corner pocket to take a 12-9 lead, and it popped out on him. I felt that you had, had new life there, and you proved to everyone that you could come back from that deficit, and you did. I thought you made a great run out the last rack.
Right. Well, the balls, I'll tell you what, the breaks was a disadvantage for the last half of the match. Earlier, we was making balls, and then no balls were going in the last half of the match.
What would you attribute that to, Kim?
I don't know. Maybe the ball's getting settled in. I mean, we're trying to rack them up, and then they settle in one spot, and I can figure maybe that, or maybe we're not breaking so good. That could be another reason.
Well, you've always been able to break quite well. I just think it's just one of those things. Sometimes that the balls don't cooperate, even though they should. They just don't. But what really was important was that last rack, and you showed a lot of heart and a lot of skill in running out the last rack. I really.
I thought I ran that last rack. I thought all the balls. I thought it out pretty good, and took my time. And they look like if I can just do what I'm trying to do, and it happened.
You got on the right side of the 3 to drop nicely on the 4. You made sure you stayed beneath the 4 to go up toward the 5. You had to get straight on the 6.
Had to get straight.
Had to get straight on the 6, and there you were, straight on the 6. I said, this man has done it. All he needs to do now is pocket the 6, and then keep the strong concentration level that he has right now. This match is his.
I'll tell you what. I've last 3 tournaments, I've lost 2 hill games. So in both times, I had a chance to get out. So that's a little gratifying.
Well, you look strong. You look real comfortable, Kim. The only mistake I really saw you make all through the match was that one time where you were unhappy about the position you played. You're shooting the ball straight down the rail and drawing back, and you kind of rushed a shot, and you
right. Well, that was
jammed it out on the.
Yeah, that was to get me caught up there, and it was. I think it was 9-8 or something, and I don't know. I didn't take my time enough. I'm going to start taking my time a little more out there.
Well, you ran into the 9. I thought you were unhappy about running into the 9, positioning the cue ball, then straight in on the 7. I really didn't think that you really thought out the shot well enough. You just very, very quickly went to the shot, drawing it at a very, very hard speed, reducing the size of the pocket, and naturally you didn't pocket the ball, drawing it and scratching it in this corner pocket. It was like it's a malfunction of some kind. It wasn't the Kim Davenport that we know. So
very bad decision on my part.
Yeah. But in the meantime, fortunately, it didn't cost you the match. You're still on the winner's side.
You regained your composure very quickly.
You certainly did. At the very next match, you ran out. At the very next game, you ran out. So therefore, you were able to regroup quickly, and that's the sign of a champion. Thanks a lot for stopping up, Kim.
Okay, well, thank you, Billy and Jay.
And good luck in your upcoming match.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck.
Look forward to seeing you again up here.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
That was an exciting match, Jay, all the way down to the finish, 12-12, and a very, very nice run out, which will be seen by our viewers out there, and that's the correct way of running the balls, if positioned the way the balls were positioned for Kim. He played that last rack perfectly, and he got what he earned, the victory here.
And a big one for him.
It certainly was.
He's actually in a good spot on that board now because
a lot of giants have dropped onto the loser side. Right. Johnny Archer, Efren Reyes, Nick Varner, and Kim had his eye on that as he was playing. Maybe that distracted him slightly, but not enough for him to lose the match.
Let's see. I think you're up. You'll play next probably against El Rosario. Yeah. So.
Gotta be playing tough.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to close it up now, Jay. It's been a pleasure working with you. I appreciate you coming up here, joining us when Accu-Stats, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again in the future.
Okay. Billy, I enjoyed it very much. I'll look forward to our next match together.
Okay, on behalf of Jay Helfert, this is Bill Incardona saying thanks a lot for supporting Accu-Stats, and if you like this match or any other match in Pat Farming's inventory list, the only thing you need to do is give him a call, 1-800-828-0397. Now, we got a real good one coming up next. You know who it is? Francisco Bustamante, his opponent, Earl the Pearl.